Okay. Everybody okay? Is Merle here today?
No.
Okay. Then we'll get, oh, that's what you were talking about, running in Colorado. I didn't hear the name. Okay. Greetings and welcome to the Town Council meeting here Tuesday, October 1st, 2024 at a little after 6. We're about 2 minutes after 6 on my watch here in the Yucca room in Yucca Valley. And we want to have the call to order and roll call, please.
Council members Abel, Dennison,
Here.
Droz,
Here.
Schooler,
Here.
and Mayor Lombardo.
Here. So welcome, everyone. Let's stand, and I will lead you in the pledge. And then we do have an invocation, so please remember, remain standing. The invocation will be led by Pastor Jerry Adams of the Gateway Assembly of God. So please stand, place your hand over your heart, and repeat after me. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Please remain standing. Pastor Jerry, how you doing, sir?
Heavenly Father, thank you so much for this opportunity and the privilege to be able to start a council meeting with prayer tonight. Lord, I invite your presence to be with us and your blessing to be upon us this evening. Thank you for our mayor, our council members, our town manager, all of those who work so hard to make our town great. I pray your blessing upon them and that you would give them wisdom, understanding, and guidance in their deliberations and in the business before them in this meeting. Lord, I pray especially for our fellow Americans who in the Southeast who are suffering so greatly from the devastation of Hurricane Helene. I think of so many who have lost their lives in this storm and their families and their communities who are grieving over their loss. There are still many who are missing and unaccounted for. Lord, this terrible destruction has wreaked havoc upon their lives, their businesses, homes destroyed, washed away, down rivers, bridges and roads washed out. Lord, it's unimaginable when we see the images of what has happened. God, they need your help. I pray that you would provide for them everything that they need. Many are without food and water and a place to stay and the essentials of life. I pray, God, that you would help them through this time, that you would give them strength, that you would give them hope even in this difficult time, and that you would see them through as only you can do. Lord, our hearts are broken and we lift them up. And we ask that you would help the organizations and many who are going in and helping to clean up and provide for them the essentials that they need to begin to restore and rebuild their towns, some of which are almost completely wiped away, that you would help them in this endeavor. Lord, I pray for the nation of Israel that once again came under attack from Iran today. I pray that you would protect them and that you would help them and defend them against terrorism. Lord, in just a few days, we will mark the 1 year since the horrible Hamas massacre on October the 7th. And still there are many who are held hostage almost 1 year later. God, we pray for their release and for their freedom. God, we pray for peace, and we pray for the defense of the nation of Israel. Lord, we also pray for our firefighters, our first responders, our brave men and women who are still working to put out the fires in Southern California. Strengthen them, watch over them, and help them in their fight against the fires. Lord, I also pray for police officers, for our San Bernardino Sheriff's Department. Lord, that you would watch over them and protect them and keep them safe as they give their lives to keep us safe. Bless us in this meeting this evening. In Jesus' name I pray. Amen.
Amen. Thank you, Pastor. That was good. Thanks for the blessing. Today, we're going to start with some presentations and introductions and recognitions. We have from Senator Shannon Grove's office, we have the field representative, Octavia Scott, who has a presentation. Please come forward.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, Town Council, residents of Yucca Valley. I'm honored to be here today to be able to present this resolution to Mrs. Leone for the passing of her late husband, former mayor and council member of the town of Yucca Valley. Whereas it was with immense sadness and a deep sense of loss that word was received of the death on July 27th, 2024, of Robert John Leone, former mayor of the town of Yucca Valley, a longtime Yucca Valley Town Council member, and one of the most dynamic and renowned public officials ever to serve Yucca Valley, whose good deeds earned him the respect and admiration of his colleagues and the countless individuals whose lives he touched. And whereas born on March 23rd, 1935, Bob Leone was first elected to the Yucca Valley Town Council in 1998 and provided 20 years of thoughtful public service to the community, including 4 terms as mayor of Yucca Valley. And while serving on the town council, he championed the responsible expansion and development of both public and private land projects and residential developments, maintenance and rehabilitation of local streets and roads, improvement of local parks such as Jacobs, Paradise, and Brim Parks, and the Yucca Valley Community Center, and approval of the reconstruction of the Yucca Valley Branch Library, among many other projects. And whereas a staunch advocate for the town's quality of life programs, Bob supported its senior residence and recreation services, the annual July 4th Independence Day celebration, and the summer concert series, and he backed the town's original Measure Y and Measure Z, passed by voters in 2016. And whereas a long and distinguished career in public safety in the New York and Los Angeles police departments, Bob moved with his wife, Betty, to Yucca Valley in the 1990s, and he loved spending time with his horses and other animals, was a classic automobile enthusiast, and enjoyed the beauty, charm, and friendly atmosphere of the high desert region. And whereas Bob Leone leaves to mourn his passing and celebrate his legacy, his wife, Betty, and his family members, dear friends, trusted colleagues, and admirers throughout Yucca Valley, now therefore it be resolved by Senator Shannon Grove that she expresses her deepest sympathy at the passing of Robert John Leone, and by this resolution memorializes him for his illustrious record of personal, professional, public, and civic achievements, as well as the love and devotion he shared with his family and friends. Signed by Senator Shannon Grove, California 12th Senate District, and I'll present this to Mrs. Leone.
Mrs. Leone, you can come to the podium if you want. You're welcome to if you wish.
Never shut me up either. I'm Betty Leone, and thank you, Mr. Mayor and Town Council members and staff. He was on the Town Council for 22 years. He replaced somebody that for 2 years. Anyway, he loved this town.
Yeah.
But there was some threats over the phone a couple times, and I said, please don't run for office. I said, I'll pay you the $450 tax-free if you don't run. And he says, no, I've got to run. I'm going to do this. And I said, but they take out taxes, and, you know, I'm offering you this tax-free not to run. And I said, damn, a politician that can't be bought. But anyway, I miss him. You all miss him. And we loved him. Thank you.
He was a good friend and a great mayor for our town and a council member that we'll miss. Thank you. Anybody want to say anything?
Yeah, Mayor, if I may, I just want to state that, you know, when I got on the council, Bob Leone already had a lot of tenure here, and he was a great mentor to me. He taught me a lot of decorum up here, to be fair, friendly, and firm, and that was Bob. Bob was always looking out for our interests. He was a true American. He was, you know, in public safety as a police officer for years, and he brought that attitude there where he knew what needed to be done and it was going to be right for all the people. And I had a career in public safety, and we just seemed to somehow connect, and he was always so kind to me. And when you got through that determined front end of his, he had a heart of gold. He was a wonderful man, and I'll always appreciate all the time he took, the conversations that we had, the conferences we'd go to together, and he would talk to me and kind of teaching me the ropes, so I would end up being a good person for our community too, because I also, just like Bob, I love Yucca Valley, and he truly did. He put in the time, the hard work. He even with your bribe, Betty, of $450, he still wouldn't go away. You know, he wouldn't stay at home. He was out helping everybody all the time. He was certainly a citizen among everyone else, and he got involved in everything. I like the part about the car shows. He did love cars. That was one of his things. So thank you for being here tonight, Betty, and we all miss Bob too.
Yeah, I just want to say Bob was on the council when I was elected, and he was a really great guy. And even if we didn't agree on certain items, I'd see him later, and he'd be like, you know, it wasn't personal. You know, nothing's personal. That's the way it should be in politics. Some people think one way, some think the other, and he was always friendly and kind. And I remember being at the car show with him at the airport. That was some years back, and he was so proud of the cars and his cars, and he was a great person. So anyway, Betty, I'm sorry for your loss, but we all loved Bob.
Sure, I'll jump in there. It's all been said, everything's been said, but Bob was a very memorable member of our community and a great representative as mayor and council member, and obviously loved the town, so.
As a fellow Paisan, he was always giving me a hard time and a lot of fun, and he was a great mentor. And I have a great photo of the council acting up a little crazy in one of our photos. We take photos every year, I guess it is, when new people get elected, and it's a great memory and a keepsake that I'll always treasure. He was a happy, smiling, and wonderful guy. He could be stern when he needed to be, and he was definitely had a sense of what was right and what was wrong, and loved the fact that he loved Yucca Valley and wanted what was best for Yucca Valley. He was always that way. We will miss him. Thank you.
Mayor, if I might just add one comment for the public that may be interested, and thank you from Senator Grove's office, the representation today, and for Betty for coming out. As you know, the council had the opportunity to do quite a recognition for Councilmember Leone, and if you're interested in seeing it, it's a great review of his time on the council with, at that time, Congressman Cook, Assemblymember Mays, someone from Senator Fuller's office who's on your dais tonight. And so there was a number of different presentations, the Capitol flag. They can go to our town website, look at the meeting of December 4th, 2018. Great video there of that event. So I would encourage people to take a look at that.
It was a great presentation. We thank you. It was worthy of doing again. All righty, we're moving on to the approval of the agenda.
Mayor, I'd move to approve the agenda as provided.
Second.
Okay, we have,
Councilmembers Dennison,
Yes.
Droz,
Yes.
Schooler,
Yes.
and Mayor Lombardo.
yes. All righty, moving on to consent agenda. All items listed on consent agenda are routine matters of formal documents covering previous town council instruction. Items are enacted by one motion and a second without a separate discussion unless a member of the town council or town staff requests dialogue on a specific item at the beginning of the meeting. Requests for public comment on the consent agenda items should be filed with the town clerk at the beginning of this section. Okay, so here we are. I would like to have a motion to. Any public comment? Is there, was there any public comment? Is there any public comment? Is there anybody in the audience that wants to comment on any item on the consent agenda? Is there anybody online? No, okay.
Mayor, seeing no one, I'll go ahead and move the consent agenda forward as for items 2 through 8.
Second.
Okay, moved and seconded.
Councilmembers Dennison,
Yes.
Droz,
Yes.
Schooler,
Yes.
and Mayor Lombardo.
Yes. Okay, on to public hearings. Item number 9, Environmental Assessment Development Code. Let's see here. This is for the mobile food vendors and food vending vehicles. Who's taken this one? There we are.
Hello, Mayor and Council. I'll be presenting this item.
Your speaker's not on.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. I will be presenting this item.
Okay.
The title of the ordinance is an ordinance of the Town Council of the Town of Yucca Valley, California, amending Chapter 9.55 Sidewalk Vending, Sections 9.55.020 Definitions, and 9.55.050 Roadside Vending to establish regulations for mobile food vending in parks, public streets, private property, and food truck events. The recommendation for this item is that the Town Council finds that the ordinance is exempt from the requirements of the California Environmental Quality Act pursuant to the state CEQA guidelines under Section 15061B3, since there is no possibility of a significant impact on the environment caused by this amendment, and that the Town Council introduces the ordinance amending Chapter 9.55 Sidewalk Vending, Sections 9.55.020 Definitions, and 9.55.050 Roadside Vending of Title IX Development Code of the Yucca Valley Municipal Code. There has been quite a lot of prior review, starting with the Town Council's initial direction at the May 7th meeting, followed by Planning Commission meetings on May 28th, June 11th, July 23rd, and then lastly on August 27th, when the Planning Commission adopted a recommendation to move the ordinance forward to the Town Council. In summary, the ordinance provides for standards and approvals for motorized food trucks, vehicles, for a few categories. Those are food truck events, food trucks operating on private property, food trucks operating from the public rights-of-way, food trucks operating at town facilities and parks, and ice cream trucks. These regulations are for motorized food vehicles only. Non-motorized vending, sidewalk vending, et cetera, is covered in Chapter 9.55, which is your sidewalk vending ordinance and chapter. Mobile food vending on private property is subject to a temporary use permit reviewed by the Planning Commission. That permit is valid for 12 months for a specific location, and those standards are listed on packet page 108. Food truck events would require a temporary special event permit reviewed by the director. Standards for those are listed on packet pages 109 and 110. Mobile food vending in the public right-of-way is subject to a temporary use permit reviewed by the Planning Commission. Standards for those are listed on packet pages 111 and 112. And just as a note, there are limited areas where sufficient sidewalks exist in the town. Ice cream and certain food products from vehicles in public streets, a little bit of a mouthful, but that requires a temporary use permit reviewed by the Planning Commission, and those standards are in packet pages 114 and 115. Food trucks in public parks require the written authorization of Park Authority per Chapter 11.80 by the Director of Community Services. So, in summary, these are the categories that the ordinance provides for, and the recommendation has been read into the record. And staff is available to answer any questions following the public hearing.
Very good. Is there anybody in the public wishing to comment? These are things they've worked on for quite a long time now. Nobody online? So back to council. Any comments here? I'm sorry? Oh, I'm sorry. I need to close the public hearing. I'm sorry. Back to council.
Thank you, Mayor. I just want to say I've followed this obviously for quite a while and been in the discussions, and I appreciate staff's work. I went through it after we finally got the final version that we're looking at now, and then I spent additional time with staff, and everything that I had questions about was resolved. And so it's very, very clean and tidy. I think it's a great starting point for us. So I just want to say I appreciate all the work, and all this was driven by the community input into to the council, to the planning commission, and I thank the public too for steering us to this point.
Okay, go ahead.
I just want, I just want to say, I think I know the Planning Commission has gone back and forth with this, and the Planning Department has worked on like what their tweaks to it, and then went back to the Planning Commission. I don't remember how many times. I do watch the meetings on Bob Stevenson's YouTube channel, but I watch them a day or two later, and I read on Z1077 what happened the night before. But I generally watch the meeting, and I know it went back and forth several times, and I'm impressed with everything they do. They know what they're doing on the Planning Commission, and even having a food truck within 200 feet of a competing business. I think Councilmember Abel mentioned that. Right across from a Mexican restaurant, somebody set up a tamale stand. And, you know, that you shouldn't do that. That's competing with a restaurant that has gotten a rating, and, well, so do the food trucks. But anyway, they shouldn't be competing, and I think that's really important. So the Planning Commission has done their work, and I fully support this.
Councilman.
Yeah, I'm happy with the outcome. I think staff and Planning Commission have been responsive to the direction of the council. I sat in on at least one of the Planning Commission meetings when they were hashing this through, and everybody worked really hard on this. And I think this is great. I don't know, maybe it's not a finished product, but it's certainly a good starting point for what we're trying to address here. And I'm very happy with the outcome, so thank you.
Very good. I'm real pleased with the way this has progressed, and it's been a lot of hard work. I like the idea that everything, if there's a problem, it can be solved if brought to our attention. And this was something that kind of started with public input, I think, about the need to have some rules on the vending in front of other businesses that were similar and that sort of thing. So, and private property, public right-of-way, those things were all very important and have been gone through. If there's any modifications needed, we can look at those in the future, but I think this is really a lot of hard work culminating in a good starting point. So that's, I think we're ready to move forward on this. Is there anybody that wants to make a motion?
Mayor, I'd like to make the motion to move item 9 as presented and with the title that Evan had repeated in the presentation.
And I'd like to second that.
All right, it's been moved and seconded.
Councilmembers Dennison,
Yes.
Droz,
Yes.
Schooler,
Yes.
and Mayor Lombardo.
Yes. All right, moving on to item 10. This is environmental assessment, AE 1224, Development Code, Amendment DCA 05-24, Housing Element Implementation. And I won't read the rest of it, but tell us all about it.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. The title of the ordinance is an ordinance of the Town Council of the Town of Yucca Valley, California, amending Chapter 9.07, Residential and Hillside Reserve Districts, Chapter 9.08, Standards and Regulations for Specific Uses in Residential and Hillside Reserve Districts, Chapter 9.09, Commercial Districts, Chapter 9.10, Industrial Districts, Chapter 9.47, Density Bonus, and Chapter 9.48, Emergency Transitional Housing and Single-Room Occupancy Units, pursuant to the adopted Town of Yucca Valley General Plan 2022 Housing Element Programs H1-1 through H5-4. The recommendation is that the Town Council finds that the ordinance is exempt from the requirements of the California Environmental Quality Act pursuant to the state CEQA guidelines, as it is not a project and has no potential to result in a direct or reasonably foreseeable indirect physical change to the environment per California Code of Regulations 15378B5, and that the Town Council introduces the ordinance amending Chapter 9.07, Residential and Hillside Reserve Districts, Chapter 9.08, Standards and Regulations for Specific Uses in Residential and Hillside Reserve Districts, Chapter 9.09, Commercial Districts, Chapter 9.10, Industrial Districts, Chapter 9.47, Density Bonus, Chapter 9.48, Emergency Transitional Housing and Single-Room Occupancy Units of Title IX Development Code of the Yucca Valley Municipal Code. So just as a background on the timeline, the town adopted a comprehensive general plan update on February 4th, 2014. The 2021 housing and safety elements were adopted on April 5th, 2022. The implementation section of the general plan identifies minor code adjustments to ensure consistency between the general plan, development code, and changes in state law. And these recommended changes are consistent with the 2022 housing element update and element policies and programs and implementation strategies adopted by the Town Council at that time. There's quite a few changes, starting with Chapter 9.07. These changes make things relatively less restrictive for certain types of projects, including residential care facilities serving 7 or more people. Those would be permitted through a site plan review instead of the current conditional use permit requirement. Farm worker/employee housing for 6 or fewer employees permitted by right, subject to state health and safety codes. In our Hillside Reserve, rural living, single-family residential, and multifamily residential zoning districts. Farm worker employee housing for 7 or more employees and consisting of no more than 36 beds, and group quarters or 12 units on spaces designed for use by a single family or household permitted as a conditional use permit, subject to state health and safety codes in our Hillside Reserve, rural living, and single-family zoning districts. Chapter 9.08, although these changes look a little bit smaller, it also includes that town accessory dwelling unit standards repealed and that the accessory dwelling units continue to be allowed subject to provisions of state law. Chapter 9.09, commercial districts, social care facilities permitted by site plan review instead of the current conditional use permit requirement. And then it adds notes to the bottom of our land use table that incorporate the corridor residential overlay, mixed-use town center, and mixed-use civic center designations that exist within your current general plan within the development code too. Chapter 9.10, industrial districts, includes emergency transitional housing allowed by right without any requirement for a special use permit. Chapter 9.47 adds additional categories of projects eligible for density bonus, incentives, and concessions under current state law, and the town is required to follow state law in these areas. Chapter 9.48, emergency transitional housing and single-room occupancy units, includes that supportive housing is allowed by right in all zoning districts that allow multifamily dwelling units or mixed-use development if the proposed housing development satisfies the requirements of state law. Adds code sections for low-barrier navigation centers, allowing it as a use by right in areas zoned for mixed use and non-residential zones permitting multifamily uses provided that it meets specific requirements under current state law. Addresses minimum separation distances between emergency shelters and removes those. Single-room occupancy units are permitted by conditional use permit in our industrial, general commercial, mixed-use commercial, and neighborhood commercial zoning districts. These are definitions just for background on what some of those terms mean. The addition of low barrier navigation center is new to our development code. Some of those other definitions already previously existed. Low barrier navigation centers are a housing first, low barrier service enriched shelter focused on moving people into permanent housing, providing temporary living facilities while case managers connect individuals experiencing homelessness to income, public benefits, health services, shelter, and housing. And once again, the recommendation has been read into the record, and staff is available for questions following the public hearing.
Very good, thank you. Is there anybody in the public wishing to speak on this? None? None? Back to council. Councilmember Dennison? Nothing to say? Okay. No, I'm excited that it kind of relaxes some of the codes and makes it easier for temporary housing, for transitional housing, workforce housing, and lower cost housing. I think it's a move in the right direction. We're kind of simplifying things and moving it towards state regulations, although we want to have local control of things. So it's, I think it was gone through in a very fine manner. Thank you for your presentation. And I'm ready to entertain a motion.
I'll move the item forward.
Okay. I need
And
a
I'll second.
All right. Councilmember
Coun-
Schooler, second.
Council members Dennison.
Yes.
Droz,
Yes.
Schooler,
Yes.
and Mayor Lombardo.
Yes, thank you. On to item number 11. This is going to be presented by Alex. How you doing? It's the
Good evening,
fiscal
Mayor.
year, yeah. Go
Good
ahead.
evening, Mayor and Council, and welcome to the most exciting time of the year.
The most
We
exciting.
present to you the 2023-24 Public Works Annual Report. So the recommendation before you tonight that the Town Council receives and files the 2023-24 Public Works Annual Report, and we start with the Streets Division. Dave?
Oh, boy, they're stacking up. Okay.
Good evening, Mayor, Town Council, citizens, and staff. My name is David Johnson. I'm the Maintenance Supervisor assigned to streets for the town of Yucca Valley. I will be presenting the street maintenance section along with the fleet maintenance section of the Public Works Annual Report. Town Street Maintenance Division currently consists of 2 skilled maintenance worker 2 positions, 1 lead skilled maintenance worker, and 1 supervisor position. They are a dedicated team of skilled individuals with the responsibility to maintain over 150 miles of pavement, 2.58 miles of dirt roads, all signs, pavement markings, and line of sights within the town limits. It's been another year of abundant rainfall for the community. Between July 1 of 2023 and July 30th of 2024, this community experienced 17 rain events totaling 8.92 inches of precipitation. 11 of these events required the removal of sand and debris from the roadway. After every storm event, the Street Division responded immediately to remove dirt and debris from the roadways, attempting to maintain safe conditions for motorists. Removal of debris after storms can last anywhere from 3 days up to 2 weeks, depending on the severity of the storm. After removal of heavy debris, street sweeping begins. The town of Yucca Valley is currently under contract with Quality Street Services to provide street sweeping and cleaning. Street sweeping can last over 2 months after heavy rain events. It takes approximately 56 to 60 days of sweeping at 8 hours per day to sweep every road within the town of Yucca Valley. After rain events and periodically throughout the year, shoulder maintenance helps prevent the loss of the edge of roadway and provide a safe place for traffic to enter and exit the roadway. Clearing storm drains periodically helps keep storm runoff from causing erosion in the right-of-way. A major issue resulting from stormwater runoff is erosion. After the numerous rain events of the year, the town of Yucca Valley has many locations where the edges of the road have been almost completely washed away, and that erosion jeopardizes the integrity of our infrastructure, as well as creating a potentially unsafe condition for motorists. Many of the erosion issues are brought to our attention by citizen requests, and the Street Division responds to these locations as quickly as possible, prioritizing safety issues first and making the shoulders safe for traveling vehicles. Another issue of these storms has been trees falling into the roadway. High winds combined with wet soil cause large trees to fall, bringing down power and communication lines and creating dangerous conditions for the public. Asphalt berms play a major role in the protection of the town's infrastructure. As the town's infrastructure ages, asphalt berms become weakened and more prone to failure. The failure of these berms protecting the edge of the roadway can lead to serious damage to the road and public right-of-way, and also the private properties adjacent to these failures. The town of Yucca Valley is currently in the process of repairing these berm issues facing the community. Staff has identified over 24,800 linear feet in 228 separate locations of broken or missing sections of berm. This list addresses more than 56 citizens' requests for service. With funding in place provided by Measure Y, we're hopeful to resolve some of these issues soon. And of course, no presentation about street maintenance would be complete without the discussion of potholes, because they're everywhere. With over 150 miles of roadway, the most common way staff is alerted to the presence of potholes is by citizens' request. It's through direct involvement of our concerned citizens that we can meet the needs of the community and provide the level of service that we do. Staff responds to requests as quickly as possible because openings in the asphalt will grow and cause more severe issues than just a pothole, like base failure, eventually roadway failure, and that can be very costly to repair. In addition to filling potholes, town staff has been actively trying to fix the growing problem of cracking. Anybody who's driven in Yucca Valley knows that the cracking in the roadway has been getting bad. The extreme temperature swings of the Mojave Desert cause expansion and contraction of the asphalt that results in some very large cracks. Repairing these cracks with cold patch asphalt will prevent water from entering the road base, compromising the integrity of the road, and also prevent the edges from fracturing and creating more potholes. This technique has proven to be effective as a short-term repair, lasting 3 to 4 years before more attention is required. By being vigilant about repairing potholes and cracks, the Street Division is attempting to extend the life of the town's roadway assets. Along with more than 150 miles of paved roads, another function of the town's Street Division is the maintenance of a little over 2.5 miles of dirt road. Heavy storms can cause severe erosion to dirt roads and sometimes make these roads almost impassable. Multiple pieces of heavy equipment are used to repair and maintain dirt roads, including a road grader, the skip loader, front end loader, and a dump truck. At times, hundreds of tons of material must be imported to fill deep erosion and restore a safe, level driving surface. Through routine maintenance and actively following up after storm events, the Street Division attempts to provide safe, passable dirt roads within the maintained system. An extremely important aspect of street maintenance is signage. Street signs not only give us direction and instruction for motorists, but warn of potentially hazardous conditions to be avoided. Signs that have been blown down due to heavy winds, that have been vandalized, or have been struck by automobiles in the right-of-way are replaced as soon as possible. The town of Yucca Valley currently has more than 3,500 traffic signs and 1,500 street name signs within the maintained system. The project to replace 1,237 street name signs townwide is currently underway. We've ordered, received, and installed 900 signs to date, and actually they got about another 50 of them up today. The street division is installing these signs at a rate of approximately 100 signs per month to achieve compliance with federal and state regulations and provide a uniform appearance for street name signs throughout the community. What happened to my slides?
Don't want to find out.
As part of the local road safety plan, the town has been adding new signs, upgrading signs in the maintained system that will provide better advanced warning and safer conditions for motorists on our roads. As you see here, the addition of a lighted stop sign at the intersection of Yucca Trail and Sage Avenue increases awareness for motorists to stop before proceeding. As part of our efforts to make the roadway safer, the town's street maintenance division is in the process of evaluating all pavement markings within the maintained system. The project is approximately halfway completed, and we hope to have a comprehensive evaluation completed and plans for repairs and improvements very soon. In December of 2023, the street division assisted with the installation of a conduit between Town Hall facility and the Senior Center facility. As part of the upgrades for that facility, to install fiber optic cable that will provide better internet access in that facility. The project took 2 days to complete and was a cooperative effort between streets, parks, and facility maintenance divisions. The street division also responsible for maintaining the pavement marking in 5 school zones. These pavement markings are refreshed every year at the beginning of the school year to help provide children with safe access to and from local schools. We are also beginning a process of trying to refresh during the Christmas break so that they stay fresh longer during the year and it's more visible. Repainting the crosswalks in the school zones alerts drivers to the fact that children are present and provides children walking to and from the school with a safer path in the public right-of-way. Come on, it's not getting there. There we go. Repainting of pavement markings in the school zones typically takes a street division a week to complete. There are also 6 speed radar units and 12 flashing lights in the school zones that the street division programs at the beginning of each school year to operate while school is in session. Additionally, the crosswalks in Town Hall and the directional arrows of the community center parking lots get refreshed to facilitate the smooth movement of traffic through that complex. There's also 371 linear feet of red curb that gets repainted every year. Most of this curb is at the Yucca Valley High School, but also at the Yucca Valley Animal Shelter and other locations around town. An additional responsibility for the street division is the maintenance of the town's vehicles and equipment. Town currently has 24 licensed vehicles, 8 trailers, and 40 specialized pieces of equipment in its inventory the staff uses to perform their daily functions. I've had several members of staff ask me to express to the council their appreciation for the recent years that you've purchased vehicles. It's made our job a lot easier, and we have been a lot more efficient because of that. Many of the minor repairs needed are performed by our talented members of staff, while larger and more complicated repairs are sourced out to professional service providers. This concludes the street and fleet sections of the Public Works Annual Report. At this time, I'd like to turn over the presentation to Joseph Bowers, the Park Maintenance Supervisor.
Wow, what a great presentation so far.
Good evening, Mayor, Town Council, staff, and citizens. My name is Joseph Bowers. I'm the supervisor of the Parks Division of the Public Works Department. The town's park maintenance crew has one part-time maintenance worker, one position, 3 maintenance worker, 2 positions, 1 lead maintenance worker, and 1 supervisor. We're a highly dedicated team with over 49 combined years working for the town of Yucca Valley, operating 7 days a week, year-round. The Parks Division responsibilities consist of taking care of 19 acres of turf at parks and town facilities. Also an irrigation system that allows us to monitor water usage and alerts us on system deficiencies. The town uses approximately 28 million gallons of water per year that flow through 230 irrigation valves. We take care of parking lot striping and maintenance. We also maintain the pool and the equipment to keep it running in good order. We do vandalism repairs such as painting, pressure washing, along with litter and trash removal. We maintain the playground equipment, do repairs and inspections. At the community center, we have 5 acres of turf. We perform irrigation repairs as needed. We prune the trees as well as do the landscaping. We check and maintain the playground equipment and do the softball infield maintenance. At Brem 1, we have 2 acres of turf. We do irrigation repairs there as needed. We do infield maintenance on the softball field. We prune the trees as well as do the landscaping there. At Brem 2, we have 4 acres of turf. We perform irrigation repairs. We prune the trees as well as take care of the landscaping, check and maintain the playground equipment, and we also do the Miracle League field maintenance, which recently we just had the entire field redone. At Remembrance Park, we perform irrigation repairs as needed and repair damage from vehicles or from vandalism. We've actually had vehicles drive through there, missing that turn.
That would hurt.
At Jacobs Park, we have 3 tennis courts and 4 pickleball courts that we maintain. We blow off the tennis courts weekly and wash them when needed. We also prune the trees and take care of the landscaping, check and maintain the playground equipment, and we use the tractor to drag out the weeds and groom the 2 baseball diamonds, along with the open areas and the retention basin. We also maintain the tennis courts as far as the surfacing and the windscreens, and also the lights. At Essig Park, we have 2.5 acres of turf. We perform irrigation repairs as needed. We prune the trees and do the landscaping. We pressure wash the dog parks weekly, check and maintain the playground equipment, and we drag the weeds in the big open areas. At Macris Park, we have 1.5 acres of turf. Perform irrigation repairs as needed. We prune the trees as well as do the landscaping. We do infield maintenance on the softball field. We check and maintain the playground equipment, and we drag the weeds in the open areas with the tractor also. At Paradise Park, we have 1 acre of turf. We perform irrigation repairs there as needed. We prune the trees as well as do landscaping and check and maintain the playground equipment. At Tri-Valley Little League, we have 3 acres of turf. We perform irrigation repairs as needed. We do all the infield maintenance on the 4 baseball fields. We also maintain the sports lights. At North Park, we do litter control and clean up vandalism on the hiking trails and the parking area. We actually had some vandalism on one of the trails recently, and we had to hike back in there to remove it off the rocks. On the weekends, we have 2 dedicated employees that take care of the parks throughout the town. They clean all the restrooms, change out the trash cans as needed, perform litter control, and they fill in the wood chips on the playgrounds. Once the parks are done, they perform most of the weed abatement throughout the town and perform vandalism repairs. The Parks Department also maintains an additional 5 irrigated landscaped areas. At the Welcome Center, we have irrigation repairs that need to be done sometimes, and we do the major tree pruning. At the Public Works Yard, we perform irrigation repairs and we prune the trees as well. At Park and Ride, we perform irrigation repairs as needed. We prune the trees and we perform litter control. At the animal shelter, we perform irrigation repairs as needed, and we also do the major tree pruning. And at the New Branch Library, we perform irrigation repairs and prune the trees and perform litter control. This year, we extended our contract for another 3 years with Mariposa Landscaping. They've been a big help with our beautification process of the highway medians, the outer highways. They also help at the animal shelter, park and ride, Remembrance Park, the New Branch Library, and the Welcome Center. To control these irrigation systems, we've been using Scorpio irrigation clocks seen on the left. The Scorpio irrigation clocks have become obsolete and impossible to find parts for. Last year, we started the process of upgrading these clocks with the newest style called Iranet M's, which are seen on the right. This year, we replaced 9 more Scorpio units with the new Iranet M's, and now all the turf throughout the town is now controlled by the new system, which is much more efficient and easier to work with. In addition to parks and irrigated landscaped areas, the Parks Division maintains non-irrigated areas and town undeveloped lots performing weed and litter abatement. This lot here is the retention basin west of the BMX track. And this lot here is next to the branch library. And the parks crew addresses vandalism as soon as it's noticed or reported. We replaced this damaged drinking fountain with a new one recently. We also replaced this trash can that someone pushed over. And we did the replacement of this piece of playground equipment. The replacement of trash cans, picnic tables, playground equipment, and the repainting of public restrooms and the removal of graffiti is costly and time-consuming. At the Yucca Valley Community Pool, we do daily inspections on the water chemistry and the pump room equipment. When we do weekly maintenance, it consists of us cleaning the pool and the covers along with backwashing the filter. Pool repairs including the pumps and the electrical system are performed year-round. Here we are replacing an impeller on the pump motor. And the discharge pipe for backwashing the pool had rotted through after 25 years of use. It actually got a pretty big hole there in the corner, as you can see. So we had a pipe fabricated and had a professional welder come out and install it for us. The parks crew does major projects throughout the year. Some of the projects we did this year include storm cleanup at the parks. This was at Essig, the small dog park. So to prevent that from happening again, we added straw wattle barriers and we formed a channel for drainage. One of the biggest projects we did this year was installing a leach pit to stop the flooding of Rem 2 from rainstorms. We dug a leach pit, installed the gravel, and we also ran an overflow line to a secondary leach pit. Then we installed the drain and put in fresh sod, and we've had no flooding on the field since completing this project. We performed major irrigation repairs at numerous parks. Irrigation repairs are a year-round process. Here we are seeding and top dressing the sports fields in the spring for the upcoming season. We also added 240 yards of wood chips to all the playground areas this year. It helps with safety. At Essig Dog Park, we raised a strip of sod to prevent a trip hazard in the small dog park. And repairing the lips on the softball fields while adding clay is just to name a few of the projects we do year-round. And this concludes the Parks Maintenance Division section of the Public Works Annual Report. At this time, I'd like to turn it over to James McCoven, the Facilities Maintenance Supervisor.
Really good.
Hello, Mayor, Council, citizens, and staff. My name is James McCoven. I am the Facilities Maintenance Supervisor for the town of Yucca Valley. Town of Yucca Valley's Facilities Division consists of one full-time maintenance worker, one full-time lead maintenance worker, one full-time supervisor, and 3 part-time positions. This team brings combined 20-plus years of experience working for the town. The Facilities Division provides room rental setup and teardowns at the community center, senior center, and other town facilities ranging from 5 to 7 days per week, including holidays throughout the year. This includes setup of tables, chairs, risers, stage, AV, and providing coffee and water as needed. Facility staff works closely with recreation staff to ensure a positive experience for residents and user groups. On the left here, we have a setup for our monthly Cactus Sobles group. That's a pretty big setup with a lot of attendance there. And on the other side, we have a Cinco de Mayo party at the senior center setup. Staff provides cleaning and janitorial services at town facilities daily, including sweeping, vacuuming, mopping, scrubbing floors, cleaning windows, trash removal, sanitizing, and restocking supplies as needed. Staff is ready to attend to any issues that may arise throughout the day as needed. Facilities also assist with setups and teardowns for holiday and special events, such as setting up the mobile stage for the 4th of July concert and other events, pool decorations at the pool for the summer programming, craft fair, Halloween spectacular, Christmas tree lighting. Facilities is responsible for maintenance, repairs, and upkeep of all facilities townwide, including painting of structures, plumbing repairs, maintenance of evaporative coolers, changing light bulbs, cleaning fixtures, door maintenance and repairs, signage, among other things. Here we replaced a water heater at Tri-Valley at their snack shack and installed a more compact and efficient water heater. On the bottom, we have a faucet that was changed out here in the community center that gets a lot of use by several user groups. It was leaking, not very good flow, so we provided that upgrade to provide a better service for the user groups. This year, staff repainted the shade structures at Park and Ride. Staff pressure washed, sanded, and prepped all structures from paint. As you can see, they were looking pretty rough. There were also damaged lights under the structures that needed to be replaced as well. Staff primed, painted all posts and support rails with exterior enamel paint. Staff also replaced broken and efficient light fixtures with new energy-efficient LED lighting. The structure's appearances have been improved, and the new lighting improves safety and security at the site. We worked with a local contractor this year to paint the buildings 1 and 2 at the community development site. Previous occupant logos were showing through the old paint, and there was significant pilling and chipping. Contractor power wash, prepped and primed, painted all exterior surfaces. Any old logos showing through the finishes have been covered. Here they see they scraped all the surfaces, and on the right you have the after results. They patched all the cracks and chips and cleaned everything up pretty good. 2 coats of primer applied to seal all exterior surfaces after the pressure washing and patching. And 2 coats of paint were used to create a durable finish that will last and provide a sound structure for the buildings. Contractor painted exposed conduit on the buildings to provide a more uniform and cleaner appearance. The new paint has improved the appearance of the structures and looks much cleaner. Staff installed new signage at the public entrance and painted all safety bollards around the buildings. Staff recently painted restroom exteriors at Brem 1. The wood was fading and beginning to deteriorate, most notably on door trim. Staff prepped and painted. This will extend the life and improve the appearance of the structure. Staff also made some minor repairs, prepped and painted some storage sheds at the animal shelter that were having issues with rodents getting in, patched some holes there and attended to that and painted them. Staff services 24 evaporative coolers town-wide. The staff performed an extensive service at the senior center this spring. This cooler is in service year-round as it serves as a makeup air unit for the kitchen as well as providing cooling. Staff installed new pads, a new water line, as well as annual cleaning, oiling, and belt adjustments. With the high winds and dirt we have around here, you can see quite a lot of buildup gets in there from the top left picture, and that's very needed. Staff has been upgrading and installing new faucets here on top. Staff replaced faucets and supply lines in the public restrooms at the museum. On the bottom, staff replaced faucets and supply lines at Macris Park. The old faucets were corroded and leaking, wasting water. Replacing the faucets saves water, improves the looks of the restrooms. Staff recently replaced a water heater at the museum. The old water heater had significant corrosion and was beginning to leak. The old water heater was in service for 20 years. Staff replaced the inlet shutoff valve and replaced supply lines, installed a new higher efficiency water heater. Museum staff has a storage shed in the back where they keep display cases among other items needed for their programs. There was no walkway over the dirt, and it was challenging and unsafe for staff to retrieve needed items from the storage. The display cases are bulky, heavy, and often require a dolly to move. Facilities staff installed pavers to create a safe walking surface for staff to the storage shed. Staff worked with county partners to install a new dedication plaque at the Yucca Valley Branch Library. The town purchased the plaque and the county provided engraving. Town staff installed the anchors and hung the plaque with the assistance of county staff. We work with Recreations Department as needed to assist with public programs. Facility staff assisted with the installation of a public art display at the library. Staff cleaned, prepped, and sealed the pad. Staff installed anchor tie-downs and the plaque for the artist's name and title of the artwork. The Facilities Division manages several contractors as well. Desert Arc maintains and cleans park restrooms at grounds and all park sites 5 days a week. Pro Security monitors security and fire alarm services and provides testing of these systems. Honeywell maintains over 225 tons of HVAC units town-wide. Fraser's Pest Control provides pest control service, and we use local locksmiths, electricians, and plumbers as needed. Unfortunately, staff must deal with vandalism incidents throughout the year, and this year we had incidents which vandals were destroying the restroom stalls at Brim. Staff was able to repair the stalls initially, however, vandals eventually damaged them beyond repair. Working with a local fabricator, new stalls were constructed with heavy gauge steel tubing and sheeting. The new stalls are all welded seams and secured to the floor and walls with 3/8 anchors embedded into the concrete. Once fabrication was complete, staff prepped and primed the metal. And finally, staff painted the stalls with exterior enamel paint. I am happy to report that since we have completed this project, we have had no incidents of damage to report. The town had a new camera system installed at Brim at that site. Pro Security installed 8 new cameras around the entire recreation building. This allows staff to better monitor for incidents of vandalism, improve safety and security for the public.
Very good.
Scheduling and coordination are key with different user groups, meetings, special events, and maintenance issues. Flexibility and customer service are always top priorities. Over the period of 1 year, the average number of setup and teardowns is over 5,000, 99% at the community center and senior center. As always, we strive to continue meeting the expectations of the community. We're responsible for 23 town buildings and growing, totaling more than 75,000 square feet of indoor space. Among other things, this includes sweeping, mopping, waxing, 26,000 square feet of floor tile, vacuuming and cleaning 18,300 square feet of carpet, washing 6,000 square feet of glass, cleaning 50-plus toilets and urinals, care and servicing of 245 doors, 700 light fixtures, and as before, 7,000-plus setups and teardowns annually. And finally, this year, vehicle 93 I was in an accident that totaled vehicle number 93, and I'd like to take the time to thank the council and the Public Works staff for moving so quickly to find a suitable replacement, and the council approved that, and the vehicle was replaced, and it's essential in my daily task to get done efficiently with this carrying all my parts and supplies and tools around. So thank you for that. And that concludes
So,
the facilities portion.
so Mayor and Council, that concludes staff report, and we'll be happy to answer any question you might have after public comments.
Wow. Now you can see why we're so proud of our staff. Is there any public comment? Come on, we ought to give them a hand. You guys are awesome. There's nothing online? Okay. Back to council.
Yeah, I just want to say one thing. We had a lot of change over the last few years, and we've always seen the highest level of, care for our community from all of our crews. And one thing that was a theme over everything you did, it's always safety, 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 and I appreciate that very much. You're looking out not just for the image, but you're looking out for the safety of the community. When Jerry left us and Rusty left us and Robert left us, we're always going, I don't know what's going to happen, but I knew that the planning, the succession planning and working with those leaders that have moved on, you guys are doing a fantastic job, absolutely fantastic. I am very thrilled about all the work you're doing, and Dave's work on the roads. That's no easy task when the storms just keep coming. Seems like you just get it looking pristine, and about 30 minutes later, a storm comes in. So I watch it all year. I drive the streets in town to see how it's going. I don't even know if the crews, they're just thinking I'm in the way. But you do a great job. I appreciate it very much. There's no doubt about it. There's a lot of things that revolve around your work that make a difference for us. And so our residents can get around safely. They can get to facilities that are safe. They know that everything's working well out there. And the parks are just amazing. Just the trees alone that you have to take care of in our community and the amount of turf that's one job in and of itself. But the laundry list that all of you have, I love this part every year. I requested this a long time ago, and it's turned into one of the best events, and Merle missed a great presentation today. So I hope Colorado's worth it. I don't want to go in all the details. You guys did a great presentation, and thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Go ahead.
So what do you do in your spare time, all three of you? I don't think so. Anyway, I've noticed how clean everything is, especially the medians, and but everything. I'm just shocked how few people can do so much with all those acres of grass and all the repairs and the roads. It's pretty incredible what all of you do. So just so you know, it's really, really appreciated. I think all four of us and Merle in Colorado appreciate it. And I thank you so much. And try and get a hobby in your spare time. You probably have hobbies.
Councilman Schooler.
Yeah, great use of pictures, you guys. You told the story really well, with the photos, and the presentation was great. I'm with Councilmember Dennison in thinking we've got new faces giving this report this year, but it's been a seamless transition, and you guys are doing a great job. And the quality of the work, I think, the photos show the quality of the work, the befores and afters, and I don't think you probably get thanked day to day, for what you do. It's maintenance. People do have an expectation that town facilities, town roads, town parks are held to a pretty high standard. So thanks for keeping up that standard and doing what you do. Great report.
Can I say one more thing?
Certainly.
Okay, one more thing. I want to ask you, maintaining grass in the high desert, is it a lot different than other areas? Because when you're in the desert, in the low desert, all you're dealing with is the heat. When you're in cooler environments, it's cooler, but we have the cold and the hot, and grass varieties. Does that make it a lot more difficult up here? Because we used to have really crummy grass all around town, even before Yucca Valley was a town, and now it looks so luscious and perfect.
So a good portion of our parks have overseeded Bermuda. So the grass will go dormant in some parks. You'll see in the winter, they start to yellow and they lose their luster. Those are pretty much straight Bermuda, then it'll come back green in the summer. The parks that are green year-round, it's overseeded, so it's Bermuda in the summertime, and then it turns back into rye in the winter. We have to water those parks a little bit more in the winter, where the Bermuda parks, we don't have to water at all in the wintertime. But aerating, top dressing every year, keeping the soil in good condition helps a lot. The parks, or the grass down below, they usually use the winter type grass, not so much Bermuda, but they also water 20 times more than we do, and we already use a enormous amount of water year round. So it's not too difficult. It's just a lot of maintenance and aerating and staying on top of those types of things and using the different fertilizers and stuff to keep the grass healthy.
Thank you. I always wondered about that, being here, which is so different from other environments. Thanks.
Yep, the trees look in great shape in every picture that you showed. The roads are looking good. That it's just amazing the amount of work that you guys do. I'm in agreement with everybody here. We're just very proud of you. You can see the camaraderie in the pictures. You guys are a team in your different divisions, and it works for the betterment of Yucca Valley, that's for sure. And we want to thank you for that pride of doing your job and doing it right. And do you find that there are things that you still would like to have to make your job more efficient or that sort of thing? And you have anything that you would like to say that would make the job more efficient or would help? Now's your big shot, man. I want to hear.
One of our constant struggles is maintaining fleet.
I'm sorry?
Maintaining the fleet.
Okay.
Vehicle maintenance and repair. We don't have fleet staff. There is no one assigned as fleet maintenance.
I see.
And being that the street crew does the majority of the vehicle repair and maintenance, it takes time away from street maintenance to take care of the fleet.
Okay.
That is one of the biggest struggles I face as a street supervisor.
Okay. Thank you for that. Anything else?
So we were planning on actually getting a new aerator and a tractor this year, along with a turf vac. I gave up the tractor and the aerator so that Dave could get a new trailer because they needed it much more than we did. So we actually got our turf vac. It came in yesterday, so thank you very much for that because we really needed it. That's going to help make the grass a lot healthier in the long run. Yeah, if we could get a new aerator in the future, that would be great.
Very good.
Thank you.
You guys are staffed and doing fine, huh? You're a happy little guy.
I'll work with what I got.
All right, I like it, I like it. Curtis, can you answer me a question on, is Measure Y funding used for any of this kind of stuff? Is it an improvement, quality of life to have the proper machinery to make the grass better? Or
Absolutely. Measure Y provides a lot of resources for the town in different areas. As you know, the council's priorities are primarily public safety, infrastructure, and quality of life. But those funds that are offsetting public safety allow for general funds then to be used in other areas, such as park maintenance, facility maintenance, things that we do here all around town. So it is a critical part of our financing for all of the different activities. And then, as you saw highlighted tonight in the streets and roads portion of the presentation, the idea of us being able to move forward with berm repair is wholly attributable to Measure Y, and so very, very grateful for the community's support for that.
great. And the berm repair is so important because it prevents damage that could be even more expensive to repair. Yeah, I want to thank the public too for Measure Y and Z. They do help us provide better services and improve the quality of life here in Yucca Valley quite a bit. And you can see how hard our staff works to use that efficiently. All right, I want to thank you, and let's receive and file that. I think that's it.
Thank you, guys.
All right, thank you.
Thank you very much.
Awesome job. And it's really nice to see the quality of public speaking from all of our staff members. It's awesome. It's a great learning lesson. Speaking in public is a difficult thing for a lot of people. And it's being mentored and shown in all of our departments and improving all the time. Beautiful. On to number 12. We are going to look for Shane to help us out on this one. Ordinance number, what are we talking here? We are talking. Town council finds the project is exempt from California Environmental Quality Control, and, well, it's just too complicated.
Evan Willoughby is prepared to present this item to the council this evening.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. The title of this proposed ordinance is an ordinance of the Town Council of the Town of Yucca Valley, California, repealing Chapter 5.12, Peddlers, Hawkers, and Solicitors of Title V of the Yucca Valley Municipal Code. The recommendation is that the Town Council finds that the project is exempt from the California Environmental Quality Act pursuant to Section 15061B3, which states that if an activity is covered by the general rule that CEQA applies only to projects which have the potential for causing a significant effect on the environment and where it can be seen with certainty that there is no possibility that the activity in question may have a significant effect on the environment, the activity is not subject to CEQA, and that the Town Council introduces the ordinance repealing Chapter 5.12, Peddlers, Hawkers, and Solicitors of Title V of the Yucca Valley Municipal Code. Chapter 5.12, provisions for peddling, hawking, and soliciting were adopted in 1998. The current regulations, as established by state law and codified in the town's codes in Chapter 9.55, sidewalk vending, were adopted in 2019. Established regulations and permitting for street vending consistent with state law and town council directives. Based on the adoption of current regulations in Chapter 9.55, prior regulations contained in Chapter 5.12 are recommended to be repealed. And once again, the recommendation has been read into the record, and staff is available to answer questions following public comment.
Okay. Is there anybody in the public wishing to comment? It's been a quiet crowd tonight. Anybody online? All right, back to council. Anything to say?
Exciting stuff.
Evan, we're glad you're here.
I have nothing.
I have nothing. Okay. Thank you very much. That was a good presentation. All right, we're moving on to item number 13.
Mayor, you need to act on the recommendation
I'm
for
sorry.
you this evening.
We do need to vote, you're right. So, Anita.
You just move staff
I'll move the
recommendation.
item.
Yep.
Mayor, is staff identified? I'll go ahead and move the item forward.
Oh, okay, good.
I'll second it.
Council members Dennison,
Yes. Yes. Thank you.
Droz,
Yes.
Schooler,
Yes.
and Mayor Lombardo.
Yes. Sorry about that, everyone. Okay. We do need to vote on these things, right? Okay. We're on item number 13 now, right? Or did I goof the numbers up here? Okay.
You're right, Mayor.
right.
Item number 13 is consideration of a resolution of support for measures Y and Z. I'm just going to use our presentation that we'll be sharing with some of the community as we do our education and information sessions between now and Election Day on November 5th. To talk a little bit about measures Y and Z, make sure folks know what they are. Anybody that's been around since 2016 will remember that the Yucca Valley voters approved both Measure Y and Z overwhelmingly. Measure Y by 73%, Measure Z by 82%, so very well received. Both of these are expected to expire soon, and so the proposal on the November 5th ballot is a reauthorization of both of these measures. On August 6th, the Town Council placed measures Y and Z on the November 24 ballot. Again, these are reauthorizing the existing half-cent sales tax, so there is no increase in tax rates. Measure Y is local funding and is to continue funding for important town services, resident priorities, as we've talked about already this evening, public safety, infrastructure, and quality of life in that order has been the historical prioritization of the town council. Measure Z, importantly, is sewer assessment reduction in cost, and it continues to demonstrate about a 50% reduction for local property owners, and you'll see that in a chart here in a minute. A couple of aspects of Measure Y and Z. Roughly half of the funds, according to economist John Husing, comes from visitors, people passing through Yucca Valley or who don't live in Yucca Valley. I myself live in Morongo and come up here to shop with the family, and so we are paying Measure Y and Z taxes for the town of Yucca Valley. You're welcome. Importantly, all of the funds that are raised here are under local control. These can't be taken away by the state. And importantly for our seniors, Measure Y and Z do not apply to prescription medicine or food purchased as groceries. It's a picture of Najee. You'll recognize that face. The number one priority for Measure Y by the town council historically and demonstrated in actual spending is for public safety. We have an additional detective, sheriff's service specialist, and about 25% of our Schedule A, or our annual costs, are covered by Measure Y. You can see there the amounts, just under $1 million in each of fiscal year 24-25, and then the second year of our budget, 25-26. Some of the projects that we've identified, some were talked about today in the presentation by your Public Works team. Crack seal, slurry seal, some of the park projects at Essig, the rehabilitation of our dog park, community park at Essig, North Park, Old Town beautification, the work that's already underway at Elk Trail, all of these supported in whole or in part by Measure Y and other funding sources. Importantly, quality of life, while it's not a significant portion of the funding, it does have, I would say, an outsized impact based on the number of people that we serve. In our senior center with Nina and her team, we've been able to expand senior programming, the number of hours, the number of meals for our seniors and others that are in need. Some of the other activities that are provided by Measure Y go to help our local nonprofit partners. These are leveraged funds that they can then turn around and help those that they support with their missions. This chart says it all for Measure Z. Remember, Measure Z is a dedicated funding source that is collected by the town of Yucca Valley through sales tax. It is transmitted in full to High Desert Water District, which then applies it on a pro rata basis for all properties assessed in Assessment District 1. That top line there says it all. This is for a single-family residence. Their property tax bill would be $706.50 for this particular fiscal year. After reduction of Measure Z, it's $322.78. So over half has been paid in that fiscal year by that Measure Z pass-through. So I think once individuals realize that level of savings, it is really obvious the amount of savings that Measure Z provides. We talk about community priorities. What are they? And this is one of the important steps that the town does on a regular basis. Every 2 years, we go out and we ask the community, what are your priorities, so that the council then has a basis for developing your strategic plan in response to that. Community priorities, typically very, very consistent and clear. Number one, public safety. How are we responding to calls for service, calls for emergencies? Secondly, and highlighted by what you heard this evening in your annual report from Public Works, keeping our parks, recreation, community facilities safe and clean and well-maintained, getting rid of the graffiti that we have in different places that pops up, and then the basic things and needs that people see every day when they're driving on our streets, whether it's a pothole, whether it's a crack, a sign blown down, whatever. Those are the priorities. Actually, they're quite simple if you think about it. It's, hey, we want public safety and we want the things that we use every day to work. And those are our priorities through these measures. Fiscal accountability remains as it has. Measure Y and Z will continue their accountability provisions, including citizen oversight, our independent audits, and public disclosure of how all of our funds are spent. A couple of other notes on the November 5th ballot. There are a couple of other measures that are important for the community here. Morongo Unified has their Measure C, which you heard a presentation, I think, at your last council meeting. And then San Bernardino County has two measures, Measures K and L. Voters can look at their voter guide for additional information on that. And then Councilmember Droz is the candidate for District 2 and Mayor Lombardo for District 4. So this is the opportunity. Typically, you'll remember that once we place measures on the ballot, we are primarily focused on education and information for all of our residents so that they know what they're voting on. Tonight, we're asking you to talk specifically about your support for Measure Y and Z, and so this is an opportunity to advocate for both Measure Y and Z, should you choose to do so. That concludes the town staff's presentation. Be happy to answer any other questions that the council might have with the entire team here tonight.
Is there anybody in the public that would like to speak on any of these things, Measures Y and Z? If you are, is there anybody that wants to speak? No? No? Quiet crowd tonight. Okay. Go ahead.
I'll speak.
Councilman.
You need someone to speak? I always say something. I'm going to kind of go on this backwards, really. Measure Y and Z have really moved the needle in our community. It's touched pretty much everything that we do. You saw that tonight during the presentation of the infrastructure that we take care of, whether it's the roads, the parks, the facilities, all of these things, including the vehicles. It's a lot of work, and we have a great responsibility to care for it. It's the public's assets. But I'm going to start off kind of backwards and talk about quality of life a little bit. We've seen a lot of things in the presentation tonight that they just touched on lately. One of them's our senior center. We have a lot of other programs that help out the community, one of them being the pool that we are in process, our ARC, our Aquatics Recreation Center. But one thing that really helped us a lot is when the economy and the world shifted during COVID, we were really the only municipality that I know of that remained open for the public. We had all kinds of protection in place. All the provisions were met that were required by the state and the federal government. But we were able to, because of Measure Y, have additional funding ready to go to help out our community in many ways. And one of them was the support of local businesses so they could keep their heads above water. Very important for mom and pop businesses in our community like that. That was a huge thing. We were prepared at all times and open at a central location to provide all the things that people were looking for. That was test kits, that was masks, that was a lot of other things that were in very short supply. And Measure Y allowed us to have the ready funds to help our community in a different way that we didn't even think about. So I was very happy about that. The other ones you saw on there, and you've seen a lot of things we do for quality of life. The other one was the infrastructure. We have put in a lot of new programs that we would never be able to do without Measure Y. And I just said as the ARC, you heard during the presentation, the Miracle League Field was getting redone. These are funds that are done with Measure Y, along with the roads and the world-famous potholes that you've seen around here. All those things are taken care of. Staff had made a couple of comments about new equipment, and they're very appreciative of it. This equipment is not cheap, and we go for years and years and keep it running as long as we can. It's that important. It is the town's asset. But this town having a confidence in us really put us in a good position to bring these presentations forward. I come from a background of public safety, and the most important thing, as staff had mentioned, we prioritize what we spend the money on through the recommendations of the Oversight Commission, and it goes public safety, infrastructure, quality of life. We don't let one fall and be able to go to, and we have to get to the next one by only taking care of the priority, and then we move our way down. And lately, we've been able to enhance our public safety in our community. It's very important. We have another detective. You heard that on the presentation. You saw Najee, the dog that we have, and that is a specially trained dog that is in our community when we need her. And those kinds of things, there's been a lot of activity in our community, and I want to know, Captain, if you could speak briefly on some of the changes that you've been able to make to improve services in our community, and as a direct result of Measure Y.
Yeah, thank you, Councilmember Dennison, and to the mayor and the rest of the council. I cannot, first of all, imagine Yucca Valley with one detective. If I could start with a detective, everybody generally knows what a detective does, but to give you an idea of the volume that comes in, when you have deputies working 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, we get, unfortunately, several felony cases come into the Detective Bureau. With the addition of the second detective, basically it cuts the workload in half for each of the detectives. To give you an idea, right now both of the Yucca Valley detectives are managing a caseload of 25 felonious cases. So each of those cases gets prioritized. So take the Measure Y funded detective position out. Now you have one detective managing 50 cases. Those cases that get assigned to the detective bureaus are felony cases with leads, whether it be video surveillance, we have an idea who the suspect is, search warrants need to be written, and all 50 of them are important and they're all felonies. So by Measure Y funding a second position, you're prioritizing really the community, the business owners, by giving more cases a higher priority. It doubles the amount of eyes on the reports, and frankly, a lot of the jobs are two-person jobs. A good example is yesterday. Unfortunately, we had a felonious investigation that requires two detectives to conduct an interview. I have been served as the chief of police for another jurisdiction of a similar size with one detective, and it's not efficient. The cases are not solved as high of a priority, and usually by the time the phone rings through the station, if it makes it to me, it's somebody upset that they're not being given priority on a case. So by taking a caseload from 50 down to a much more manageable 25 and allowing two detectives to tag team active investigations with leads is huge, and I think clearly signals to the community backing what your motto is as far as public safety is number one. What a lot of people don't understand is what a sheriff service specialist is, and Measure Y funds one of those positions. Sheriff service specialist is a non-sworn position, meaning non-gun wearing individual who helps the deputies out in the field and is really a direct liaison with the community. So our position that I'm referring to does many things. You will see her at the scene of a traffic collision once the initial investigation, or excuse me, the emergency is over. We get vehicles moved out of the roadway. She can take the report, arrange for the tow trucks, take the pictures, and free up the deputy sheriff to go to other calls, thus lowering the response time for priority calls for service. She can also process crime scenes. Again, in our incident that occurred yesterday that was very unfortunate, as things are unraveling quickly and we were able to take the suspect into custody, I called her. She also runs the social media to be very transparent with quick information to the community, asking her to put out a social media blast that the area has been deemed safe and that the streets are being reopened. And she told me on the phone, okay, give me just a minute, let me set down my camera, I'm taking pictures of the crime scene. So this is somebody who does investigations, processes crime scenes, runs our social media for the fraction of a cost of a deputy sheriff. So, I mean, just yesterday, I can't imagine yesterday with one Yucca Valley detective. Frankly, I would have to have deputies step up to roles really working outside of what their expertise is to handle that investigation, and that sheriff service specialist is invaluable. She also gets the reps with processing the evidence. So whereas a deputy, it's going to take them a couple of years to process all different kinds of evidence. When we have a sheriff service specialist doing that multiple times every day, they become very efficient at it and very good. In fact, I have a sheriff service specialist training new deputy sheriffs how to process and package evidence. So it's phenomenal, and it's hard because I came here well after 2016 when there was one detective, so I can't compare necessarily Yucca Valley to Yucca Valley, but a municipality with similar population and with similar crime trends, et cetera. I can't imagine Yucca Valley with one detective. So I hope that
Well,
helps.
thank you very much, Captain. That's great. I mean, how valuable they are, we don't get to see that all the time. You know, the crimes do occur, and it's a blessing that the community has entrusted us with Measure Y funding, because we are responding to these calls appropriately. You have the personnel here to manage the calls, and the responses have been great. So thank you for your service. Your deputy's doing a great job. You know, them in along addition with our fire and EMS personnel, I consider Yucca Valley to be sitting in a very safe place, and it's a great place to have services that are 911 ready to respond. And I don't want to cut back on that. That's the cornerstone, I think, of our safe community.
Go ahead.
Okay.
Mayor Pro Tem.
I agree with Councilmember Dennison. He pretty much said it all, but I do want to emphasize that Measure Y and Z both collected more money than was estimated at the time. And I think that was before COVID, and it was before the Airbnb boom, so it was estimated to be less. And it has collected a lot more money than we thought. And I want to also mention that it's not a new tax, that it's a tax that already exists now, so nothing will change. And Measure Y and Z, either of them are a new tax. And it's kind of amazing that 50% or more of the tax is paid by out-of-towners. You know, a lot of people, or some people, don't like the vacation rentals in town, but they're paying half of this. They're paying half of this tax because there are so many people visiting Yucca Valley or Joshua Tree. So it's important to know that 50% of the people are doing that to help with our infrastructure that they're using. And there's just a common thread with Measure Y and Z. It's like all through our community, you know, from public safety to everything else we use the money for, street maintenance, quality of life. So it's just everywhere, and it amazes me how much it's affected Yucca Valley.
Very good. Councilman Schooler.
Yeah, I think if we're going to continue to grow as a community and move forward, this is essential, and actually I consider it a no-brainer because of what the other council members have said, that half of the money is coming from out-of-town people that are helping us pay the bills for the things that we are able to develop in this town. I was kind of thinking of the infrastructure projects that have come about since as a result of Measure Y, and the North Park Trailhead, Old Town parking lot and meeting place, the dog park renovation, the pickleball court renovation or conversion, all the streets and crack seal and seal coating, those things that would not probably be able to get done in the absence of the funding from Measure Y. And then on Measure Z, that's further no-brainer. I think, is the number about $3 million that we're able to pass through to the water district?
It is, Councilmember Schooler, and interestingly, as Councilmember Droz mentioned, when these were passed in 2016, the estimate would be about 25% of the cost or the assessment would be reduced. It's turned out that it's covering right around 50%. And so it's double what we had anticipated back in 2016.
Right, so the bill to individual families is half of what it would be without Measure Z. So that makes perfect sense to me. We're not supporting something that's new, it's something that's in place already. So it seems as though an extra $3 million to help people pay their hookup charges and so forth, and an extra $3 million each year for these kinds of infrastructure improvements that enhance our town. I think if we're going to keep moving forward as a community, this is just essential that we continue this mechanism. So, and we have the citizen oversight, the Revenue Measure Oversight Committee, made up of ordinary citizens, not elected officials, anything, but that come in and review the proposed projects, make recommendations for them, ask questions, get their questions answered, and they're just overseeing the expenditures. I think everything in terms of managing this program is in place and working really well, so I totally support it.
Thank you. I'm also very much in favor of Measure Y and Z. I remember coming on council in like 2010, right after we had a pretty severe financial downturn due to a lot of different things, but economic downturn. And there was always financial concern about where we were going to get money to do the essential things. I remember looking at the budgets for public safety and concern that was, rising every year, and we had, limited ways to find how to improve it because we were struggling just keeping up with the annual expenditure. The same kind of thing was happening with the roads, and it left very little for us to look at to do quality of life improvements. And I think that the public was very wise in approving it, and it was wonderful how resoundingly it passed when we did finally get it on the ballot. What's it been, 8 years now? And it was overwhelmingly approved, and I think it shocked everybody in the rest of the state going, wow, how did that happen? Because a lot of times tax increases are not looked on favorably. And it really worked out well for our community. It gave us flexibility because the money was used for things that were important for the town, and it allowed money to come in from other sources, from outside of the town. And that really, really helped. The flexibility of being able to move the money between public safety, infrastructure, and quality of life allowed us to make very good use of it. And I think everybody can be very proud of how that worked out. We have a great staff that has been using the money very efficiently. And we've had the Public Oversight Committee. I want to give them great praise for, being able to see the wisdom in where to distribute that and make recommendations on that. I think it's very important that the money be clearly open to the public to see and to know where it's going. And I think it's been used extremely well. So I think it's a no-brainer. I think we definitely want to support this. It's good for the community. It's good for every person in the community. I'm really excited by the fact that it has done so much good in our community. And reducing the tax burden from the water, sewer infrastructure, that sort of thing, that's been awesome. And because it looked unaffordable at the time when we were looking at how that was going to happen. So I'm just really thrilled that it's being brought up again, and it's going to be a good thing for our community. So very much in support.
Mayor, the recommendation before you is consideration of a resolution. If you so are desiring, you can make that motion to approve that resolution. And just a point of notification for residents that are interested in historical data, what has occurred since 2016 through last year. That's included in the agenda packet in the town resident report on measures Y and Z.
Very good. Okay, well, I'd like to make that motion that we approve this.
I'll join you, Mayor, in seconding it.
All righty.
Council members Dennison,
Yes.
Droz,
Since it's a no-brainer, yes.
Schooler,
Yes.
and Mayor Lombardo.
Yes, thank you. No-brainer. That's good. All righty. On to number 14. Let's see, this is appointment of voting delegate and alternate for the business meeting of 2024. League of Cities, California Cities Annual Conference that's taking place in Long Beach. So,
Thank you, Mayor. Your last action item this evening is to appoint a voting delegate and an alternate for the business meeting at the upcoming League of California Cities Annual Conference. The business meeting will be held on Friday, October 18th in Long Beach, California. Formal designations are required to cast votes on behalf of the town at the meeting. So after public comment, the council can discuss if anyone is interested in the role of voting delegate or the alternate.
okay. Is there anybody in the public wishing to comment on the choosing of a voting member and an alternate for the League of Conference? No? No? Wow. Okay, so let's talk about it back at the council. You won't be there. And I will be attending, and I would be honored to be the voting member, but I do need a alternate, and hopefully the council will support me.
I'll recommend that you are the voting delegate, but I do not believe I'll be there on Friday morning
Okay.
during that time.
Will you be available? I will be available. Then I nominate you as the alternate. And I guess I need to be nominated as the voting member if we did do that.
I would move the item that you are the voting delegate and Councilmember Schooler will be the alternate.
All right, thank you.
Sounds like another no-brainer. I'll second that.
The council members Dennison,
Yes.
Droz,
Yes.
Schooler,
Yes.
and Mayor Lombardo.
Yes, thank you. All righty, I'll be there. It's always a good learning experience. Okay, now we are getting to the point where we will be closing up. Where are we here? Public comments, right? Future agenda items first, I'm sorry. So are there any future agenda items? Not today, okay. So, is there anybody in the public that would wish to comment on anything not brought up yet? The town council takes this time to consider your comments on items of concern which are not on the agenda. When you are called to speak, please state your name and community of residence. Please limit your comments to 3 minutes or less. Inappropriate behavior which disrupts, disturbs, or otherwise impedes an orderly conduct of the meeting will result in forfeiture of your public comment privilege. The town council is prohibited by state law from taking action or discussion items not on the printed agenda. Go to it.
Good evening. Tony Culver with High Desert Water District. Just wanted to give you guys an update on our grant we got going on. We got the executed funding agreement on September 24th.
Yes.
And so that's exciting, and we're working on the contract with Sukit right now. There's some wording that has to go back and forth, and that'll have to go back to the state to get approved, and then hopefully start construction end of December, early January on the next phase of the sewer project. So if you guys have any questions at all, you can shoot me an email, and I'd love to sit down with you and have a chat if you'd like. So that's all I have.
That's great news.
Yeah. It's always nice to hear good news from the podium there.
Is there anybody else? Or state your name and city of
Frank Alorza, and I live up in Western Hills. And I wanted to, today, I wasn't quite sure when to bring it up, but not this past weekend, the weekend before, we had a major incident up there. I'm sure everybody's aware of it. It was a homicide. And the sheriff showed up, the DA's office took over the case, and apparently since then, they've decided to not press charges, even though it's an ongoing investigation. So I think the main reason that I'm here today is I wanted to somehow bring this up, that you have residents up there that quite honestly feel that something has gone really wrong. I mean, the individual was arrested, charged with homicide, and then later we found out that he was released. There was no bail. The individual, there was a body at the home, murdered, And we're still trying to figure out how does this guy wind up back walking around Western Hills, which he is.
Wow.
So, and what we're trying to do is, I think we've reached out to the sheriff's office, we've reached out to the DA's public affairs office, trying to find out, if we can get patrols increased, because he is up there. Previous restraining orders have been issued against him. Apparently he was dealing drugs, taking drugs, assaulted people, broke into several homes. I guess at the end of the day, I'm just asking for help for the community up there. Whatever you guys can do, I'd be glad to have a separate conversation or whatever, but we are concerned.
All right. Well, thank you for bringing your concerns to council.
All right, thank you.
Is there anybody else in the public that would like to speak on any item? Anybody online? Last chance. Okay. Staff reports and comments?
Thank you, Mayor. We might have just a couple updates. Alex, you have anything this evening? Anything else?
I'm good.
All right. Deborah? Captain?
Just very briefly, the incident that I was referring to yesterday where we had the SWAT team here in Yucca Valley, just wanted to give a shout out, not because they spoke tonight, but Alex and his team with Public Works. It was very impressive to see. I was at the command post strategizing with the SWAT commander standing out in the sun. Very quickly realized I needed to run back to Joshua Tree to grab a hat for my bald head. As they were making the call for Public Works to come out and put up some street closure signs to keep the residents safe and to allow the SWAT team to strategize. Before I got back from Joshua Tree to Yucca Valley, the signs were erected, Public Works was on scene, incredible response. So shout out to your department, that was awesome to see.
Thank you, Captain. Appreciate that, and we appreciate the work that the department's been doing. These things seem to go in cycles, and we've had a number of higher profile incidents in the last couple of weeks, and we know that your team's doing a terrific job addressing them as soon as you can. Shane, nothing? That's all I have. I had some thoughts and comments about the ICMA conference, International City Managers Conference, but I'm thinking I'll hold that to a different meeting. So that's it, Mayor.
Okay. Town council members' reports, comments, anything? Councilmember Dennison.
Just want to say one thing. There was a lot of discussion tonight, so thank you for that. Next Thursday, October 10th, is National Night Out. It's a good opportunity to get to see some of your public safety crews out here in our community, and also a lot of other organizations that the town partners with in many different ways. So it's a really good time to get out and see what's happening and kind of in the back end of the town and really what makes our community a community. So that'll be over in the Walmart parking lot. I believe it's 4 to 7 in the evening, and it's always fun. It's a great time for the kids too to get out there and climb all of our fire engines and get to see our new dog Najee, and also to maybe sit in a police car and hold the steering wheel, and a lot of cool stuff. Thank you.
I have no comments. Sorry, wrong. Am I out of order?
No, you weren't. I just wanted to say.
We've been doing this way tonight.
Yeah.
But okay. Anyway, well, I have no comments anyway, but thank you, everyone, for your great presentations.
Okay, and Councilmember.
Okay, just one thing, two things. I attended the Miracle League baseball game last night, and the field looks great out there. It's very functional, and the work was done professionally, and everybody's safe out there now. It was a real concern. So, and also at Miracle League, second thing is our regular pitcher out there, the town attorney, Tom Jacks, was unable to be there. And, but it's okay because Captain Warwick filled in and did a remarkable job for coming out of the bullpen and pitching both innings. And, good job out there, both of you. Tom is always so reliable. He's the favorite out there until now. He's got competition. So,
got competition. Ooh. That's always healthy. Good competition. All right, and I just don't really have a lot to say. It was a good meeting. The presentations tonight were outstanding. I'm very proud of everybody. Staff has done a great job, and the crews are really, really a highlight. They were awesome. Unity Home, can you help me out? Is there a Unity Home function coming up?
Unity Home has an annual fundraising event. I believe that is a week from this coming Saturday. I believe it's the 14th, if that's right, if my calendar's right.
It's before
12th. And if anybody's interested in that, they can plug into our website, and we'll make sure that we have the link on there for that.
And Unity Home plays an important part in our community, and it's worthy of your support if it's something that you have the ability to support. I want to thank the Sheriff's Department for keeping our community safe. It sounds like you've had your hands full. I've been out of country for a little while, went on a trip to Italy, had a great time, come back, and there's a lot of stuff that's happened. But I'm glad to hear that everybody's safe and things are going well. I'm a little concerned about what I heard our citizens say about what's going on in the other part of town, and would like to know more about that when we get a chance sometime. Other than that, let's make it a reasonable night and get out of here, 8 o'clock. Not too bad. Okay, thank you, everybody. The next upcoming meeting will be on, did we decide, before I say that, are we going dark next week? Next appointment?
Your next meeting of October 15th has been canceled due to a lack of quorum, so your next regular meeting will be held on Tuesday, November 5th, Election Day, here in this community room.
Ooh, important day. Okay. So that's what it's going to be. It's going to be next regular meeting will be November 5th at 6 p.m. here in the Yucca room in the Yucca Valley Community Center. All right. Thank you very much. I appreciate everybody attending, and it's